The curious case of Aiguokhian versus States. One morning, between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m., a hunter was walking through a farm of corn, cassava, and yam when he spotted a deer just 22 feet away from him. He quickly took aim and shot the deer and killed it instantly. When he went to inspect his kill, he discovered the deer was quite large, so he tied the hands and feet of the deer with a rope he had cut from a nearby bush and passed a strong stick through the hands and feet to hoist onto his shoulders so he can lift it up. But when he attempted to do this, he couldn't because the deer was too large. He cut off the head, hands, and feet, as well as the genitals of the deer. But at that point, he discovered that the deer had turned into a human being,
A man whom he actually knew.
Terrified, he ran away, screaming for help. The first man he encountered, after listening to his story, advised him that nobody would believe him. He was further advised to bury the body and bury the parts separately so that if it was found, it would be assumed that it was human traffickers or ritualists who had committed the acts. Several days later, on the 7th of July 1993, he was arrested for the murder. Upon his arrest, he stated that the killing was a mistake as there was no previous grievance between him and the deceased, and he relied on Section 25 of the Criminal Code. A person who does or omits to do an act under an honest and reasonable but mistaken belief in the existence of any state of things is not criminally responsible for the act or omission to any greater extent than if the real state of things had been such as he believes to exist. The operation of this rule may be excluded by the express or implied provisions of the law relating to the subject. Naturally, the trial court did not believe his defense of mistake and convicted him of murder. He was sentenced to death by hanging on the 18th of January 1996. He appealed to the Court of Appeal, but his appeal was dismissed and the judgment of the trial court was affirmed. When he appealed to the Supreme Court, the court agreed that it is the law that when an accused acts under an honest and mistaken belief in a given situation, which, if true, would have justified the act, he may set up such a credible defense of mistake. But they stated that such a story must be true and believable. And in the case of Mr. Aiguokhian, his case just wasn't. It was too fantastical to believe. They compared it to a story of a woman who married another man under the mistaken belief that her first husband was dead, since she hadn't heard from him in 7 years. She successfully raised the defense of mistake when she was charged for bigamy. But in Aiguokhian's case, the Supreme Court rejected his story. They likened it to a Grimm's fairy tale and quoted Macbeth by saying, "It is like a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing." They based their decision on the fact that there was no evidence that people from that community were known to change magically into animals or had any magical or supernatural powers whatsoever. Instead, there was clear evidence that the accused shot and killed the deceased. Therefore, the Supreme Court affirmed the conviction of murder and the death sentence imposed on the accused and dismissed the appeal. Mr. Aiguokhian was executed on the 24th of June 2013. He was 49 years old. Follow along with me for more statutes, case law, legal principles, and legal tidbits.